350, 350.
So good morning, or good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. So it's wonderful to be with you once again in the third part of the series. And really, all of us who have been working with this program are really feeling such gratitude for being able to look at this personally for ourselves, and also to be able to journey with all of you into that journey of healing as we work together through the various concepts that is so important in the journey of dealing with grief and loss. And so we've gone through two other sessions prior to this. And the first session was an experiential program looking at how I can deal with this grief and loss when it's very raw and there's a lot of emotions to process. And so some tips were shared in the first part of the series. And in the second part of the series, Jaggi and Indrani took us through understanding the 5 stages of grief. And I'm sure as we listened to each one of you and appreciated your experience, we understood that grief stages more deeply. And what we felt as a group was really highlighted in the first and second session was the need for forgiveness. And so today's session, we will explore this topic of forgiveness to freedom, because a lot happens within your mind as one has had to deal with an ill loved one, or maybe the sudden death of a loved one. And during all the circumstances surrounding the death, and even thereafter, there's a lot of deep-seated feelings and healing that needs to take place. And so today, collectively, I see there's about 53 of us on Zoom, and I'm sure some more on YouTube. And it would be wonderful if those on YouTube could come onto the Zoom so they could enjoy an interactive session, because in this session, it will be very interactive. So those of you on YouTube who want to join us on Zoom, we can hear your feedback, we can read your feedback, but on YouTube, that interaction will be more difficult. So since there is space, we have capacity this time. You're welcome to join us on Zoom so we can learn together, grow together, and heal together. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raksha, and I met you in the first part of the series. And I look forward to being with you as we look at this topic more deeply for ourselves. And we are a lovely team that have worked on this. And I would like to now introduce you to Shirley and Kamla. And together we'll be guiding you through a journey to move from forgiveness to freedom. And so really take the hour and a half off for yourself to appreciate how I can move into that stage of freedom, working with the aspect of forgiveness. So I invite Shirley and Kamla to say hello now.
Good afternoon, dear friends, and looking forward to be with all of you, and some of you we know that have journeyed from the first session, but truly looking forward to be with you and sharing with you, and yes, enjoying the afternoon with you, but also sharing some of the tools that you will be able to take with you and to really heal the self, to empower the self, and to nurture the self. So take care and enjoy, relax, and enjoy the afternoon with us.
Hello.
I now hand you over to
Hello, and good afternoon to you all. It's such a pleasure for me to be here with you today. And also, thank you all for taking this time for yourself to be with us now. And I'm sure we will all learn from this session today by sharing.
So thank you, Kamla. So Kamla will now guide us through a moment of relaxation to become present. So thanks, Kamla.
Thank you, Rakshana. So maybe we could have the screen of
Yeah, I
being
think
present. So sit back and relax and let go of any tension that you may be feeling in the body, especially your shoulders or your face. Think of the different scenes of today. Acknowledge each scene and let it go. Let the scenes just flow away. And now take your mind into the present and become aware of your breathing. Observe the inflow and outflow of your breath. Breathe naturally and peacefully. Breathe in peace and let go of any tension. As you observe your breathing, observe the self becoming more peaceful and calm and stable. The mind is now focused. It is becoming present in the moment and becoming aware that this time is for the self to take benefit from. So now, as I observe my breath, I become fully present in this moment. Thank you.
thank you, Kamla.
So now we actually have a little icebreaker for all of us. And what we'd like you to do is look at, in dealing with this loss and grief, what is your aim in attending this workshop? And what change would you like to see in yourself at the end of this workshop? And I invite you now to please write this in the chat box. So look at what is your aim in attending this workshop And what change would you like to see in yourself at the end of this workshop? Please feel free to write in the chat box.
It will be wonderful for us to just understand what are your needs. And so we thought it would be lovely if we start the session understanding what you would like to experience or achieve in this workshop. So thank you, Helen. I would like to get out of the feeling of feeling traumatized. So thank you for those words. And Sherry, I'm hoping to assist others in grief. So anyone else, just think for a moment. What do you want to achieve today? My aim is to learn more about forgiveness. So thank you, Gloria. I would like to know how to cope with grief. I am here to strengthen myself in order to be a pillar for others with loss. I like to know some practical coping strategies. I want to move on from the past. And Minenshle, I would like to improve my ability to recognize and deal with loss. I would like to be a person who can move past any unfortunate or disappointing moments in my life that have happened and are still to happen. Maria, I am thankful for this opportunity. My aim is to acquire inner peace in terms of forgiveness. Rashmi, my aim is to be able to strengthen myself emotionally so that I can get a direction to move forward in life. Also, I want to help others in a similar situation if possible. So definitely our practical experiences in life help us support others. Jeremy, to overcome grief, the empty, soppy feeling, to experience freedom and strength once again. I do mostly cope with my grief, but the forgiveness part intrigues me. And another, to help others with the information. In Tokozo, I am working with orphans, therefore I would like to empower myself in my work. Roshan, I want to live empowered to help myself and others. Cynthia, to be able to understand the process of grief and to be able to help others. Segrin, I'm dealing with wasted time and to know what's in the mind of the one with loss. Shobha, I want to be free and loving once again, to laugh and enjoy life and the wonder of living. And another, I want to forgive myself. Thank you, all of you, for that very honest sharing. So amazing. And really a lot of these aspects we will be looking at. Malandela, I would like to come out of here a more supportive friend or family member. Segrin, to deal with the loss of someone that was strong and now emptiness.
So thank you once again for sharing so openly. And most of the aspects we will be covering in today's workshop, but there are further series which will take you to your stage of healing in the future. Thank you.
We can move on to the next slide. So yes, so thank you for each one, and we can see a lot that one wants to achieve, and it's so wonderful that you've taken the next hour and a half to look at this more deeply, because even in our experience over the last 2 sessions, as we were chatting, we felt deeply that this topic is so relevant because forgiveness is one of the greatest challenges that grieving people may face. And if you even look at your life, how we can be often replaying the scenes in our mind, the hurts in our mind, and feeling very stuck. And it is that repeated scenes that we play over and over in our mind that keep us in a place of the past with those feelings of hurt. And those feelings of hurt then begin to influence my current experience and my future experience. So listening to your aims, it's wonderful to see how many of you are determined and want to be free and able to then enjoy the future, enjoy this moment with presence so that you can offer all of yourself to those around you. Forgiveness, we have seen, is an intentional process. It's an intentional process where someone who's been hurt undergoes a change in feelings and attitudes regarding an offense and lets go of a need for that revenge and feels some empathy towards the offender or the one who had hurt them. So it is a choice. But sometimes we feel if we let go of our hurt, the one who has hurt us has gotten away with something and justice has not been served. But forgiveness calls for me to choose to have a change of direction and a change of heart. And I can see from all your comments at the beginning that you want that. And so let's see over the next hour how we achieve that for ourselves. So it calls for a choice, for a change of direction and a change of heart. And the next slide. So we'll move to the next slide. And then, forgiveness can help a grieving person to heal. And anger in response to the death of a loved one, is normal, but they can be anger towards the person who died, at the doctor or caregiver who could have prevented the death, or themselves for not saving their loved one. So they can be anger, directed in many ways. Or maybe someone said or did something hurtful after the death or surrounding the circumstances of, the funeral, etc. So there's many aspects of hidden anger and stored aggressive energy or hurts that one needs to accept and move through. So when anger is experienced over a prolonged period of time, it results in resentment, a chronic condition that harms our health and prevents us from being happy and can cause us to become bitter and focused on the negative aspects of life. So I think this is a space many feel themselves in, a chronic space that is harming our health, preventing us from being happy, and can cause us to become bitter and focused on the negative aspects of life. It's worth just, as I read these things, just explore it within yourself. And the toll that resentment takes on our mind and bodies causes greater harm to ourselves than to the person who has hurt us. And so it is important to experience the feelings of hurt, anger, and fear, to process the hurtful event, and to work towards some resolution of the situation. And so to acknowledge those feelings and to process the hurtful event, and then choose a resolution of the situation. And this practice of forgiveness, this letting go of resentment, then can lead to compassion for others and healing for ourselves. And so just a small sharing on that forgiveness, and we can move to the next slide. So I want to just share with you from what we've been seeing on the previous slides, we can see that there's deep-seated emotions. And you all must have heard about the amazing icebergs that are breaking off the Arctic and the Antarctic because of global warming. And so this is an image of the iceberg. And if you look at this iceberg, it's quite an amazing image, but when you notice the proportions, you would appreciate that only 10% of the iceberg is above water, whilst 90% of the iceberg is below water. And I am like the iceberg. From all that we shared in the previous screens, you could appreciate that, in dealing with forgiveness, there's deep-seated emotion, deep-seated hurts, deep-seated feelings. And being the iceberg in life, there's our conscious mind, and it's the thoughts that we are aware of, the feelings that we are aware of. But 90% of our thoughts and feelings are stored in the subconscious mind. And a typical example is, possibly I am aware that I am angry. So I know I'm angry, but I don't know where that anger is coming from. And it is that which is stored in our subconscious mind, the 90% of thoughts and feelings that is moving this iceberg. So, possibly there was a hurt, a difficult experience, and I suppressed those feelings, I suppressed those thoughts, and I continued with life. And I wonder, why can my life not go in the direction I want? Because if you look at an iceberg, how do you move an iceberg? Is it the wind on the top of the ocean that moves the iceberg? No, isn't it? It is the undercurrents. So it is that 90%. So it is the undercurrents of the 90% of thoughts and subconscious feelings that move the iceberg. And so we often wonder, why can't I go in the direction I want? This is my aim, but I am always falling short, and I'm getting hijacked from where I want to be. I want to be free. I want to forgive. But how do we work with it? We think, I'm angry, so I must be peaceful. So I tell myself, I'm peaceful, I'm peaceful, I'm peaceful. But if I haven't dealt with that deep-seated emotions, if I haven't processed it and chose to let it go, I will still hold those deep-seated feelings, which then affects my attitudes to life, my vision of other people, how I see and perceive life, my vibrations, which then affect my words, my actions, my habits, and my personality and my destiny. And so it's not anger that one needs to deal with, but possibly, I was hurt because I wasn't understood. And I need to work with those feelings of not being understood by another, and, being judged by another, or even being judged by myself. So that's what I need to tend to. That is the root I need to remove, so that I stop growing these weeds in my life. And so we need to appreciate what is deep-seated in my subconscious that is preventing me from moving forward with all of myself. Because 90% of myself is stuck in the past, stuck in the pain, and stuck in deep sorrow. So, in grieving, forgiveness definitely is a huge part of dealing with grief. So can I become aware of what's in my subconscious mind, because it is affecting not only my feelings, but my attitudes, my vision, my actions, my behaviors, my personality, my vibrations, my destiny. It is moving, this iceberg. And no matter how I try and change my conscious thoughts, my conscious feelings, they will be steered in the direction of the majority of the subconscious thoughts and feelings. And so I hope this makes sense to you. But to share a practical experience, I'd also like Kamla to share in this moment.
Okay, thank you, Raksha. I just wanted to say recently I lost my husband, and I thought I had actually dealt with that anger that I felt after his death, because I felt after his death that the health carers could have done better, and that somehow they didn't do as much as they could when, for his illness. So there was this anger within the self, and I tried releasing it at that time, and I actually accepted that it was time for the soul to actually leave his body. But I thought I had dealt with it. Subsequently, when Raksha and I were looking at this program that you are doing today, something in this that sharing actually triggered a deep-rooted anger within the self. And I realized that I hadn't actually dealt with this anger at all. And it actually affected my blood pressure on a physical level. But I also realized that it was much deeper than that. So I started looking at this anger at a deeper level, and I realized that the incidents that actually occurred were just a trigger. And what was the real issue behind the anger was some form of hurt. And it meant me actually acknowledging that there was anger and looking deeper at myself. At the root of it was some form of hurt, but also accepting that these feelings at a deep level do exist. And what I'm using is then I fully accept these feelings. I don't actually try and resist them or change them. I just let it be. And I go deeper in to find out what is the root cause. And then at the same time, I connect to my own higher energy of peace and love, and fully accept myself as I am. And using this higher energy kind of shifts this hurt within the self. And after that, I actually connect to the higher energy of the Supreme, the Divine One. And then I use His higher energy, His love, His acceptance, and His way
I actually
I connect to the higher energy to actually heal the self. And this energy actually has been shifting this negative feeling within the self. And I must say, it's just a week that I've been doing this. So I am a work in progress. So I am continuing with this effort. Thank you, Raksha. And I think now Sister Shirley will share on love and forgiveness.
Thank you. Thank you for that very honest sharing and a very practical example of the iceberg. Yeah, how it can really, really deeply have an impact. And thanks for sharing how you dealt with it. I'm sure many can learn many ways of processing this from that. So thank you.
So, yes, thank you, Kamla. Very practical example of how Kamla's dealt with all the emotions that's sitting, as we saw the slide on the iceberg. So much emotions are sitting in the subconscious and emerging from time to time in different situations at different times, etc. And in order for us to come to terms with understanding things, etc., one does need time and space. And we know that dealing with grief and loss, so much of emotions are stored and one has to deal with on a daily basis. One of the things that really many of you that put onto the chat that you would like to learn tools on forgiveness. And before forgiveness, one needs love. The magical ingredient of love is the greatest healer. I say magical ingredient because love is the energy that really is able to allow me to accept. Love is the magical energy that allows me to have that step of courage to be able to say to myself, let me now move on from all this hurt and pain. And love gives us such a strength and power to actually bring into practice what I need to do. Love is a power that allows me to come to terms with things, terms with the past, and say to myself, let me actually forgive myself whatever has happened, and let me heal myself from maybe the emotion of blame, the emotion of anger, the emotion that I should have done this or I shouldn't have done that, I should have said this or shouldn't have said something, etc. So love is a very, very powerful tool to start off with. As Kamla mentioned, she's taken strength from the higher self. Many of us know that not only that this physical body that's present and in operation, but there's a deeper part of each one of us. And when we connect to that powerful part, that pure, pure love that's sitting within I, the being. Some understand it as the soul, the spirit, the living energy. There's that so much of love and peace that's sitting within. And especially when I connect with the energy of love, because the energy of love finishes off the fear, it finishes off the the worry, the uncertainty, the energy and quality of love finishes off difficulties in our lives. One of the sharing on forgiveness was, we can be stuck in a negative state, in a negative situation. And when we stuck in a negative situation, we always then attract negativities, negative situations, negative energies, negative personalities, and difficulties then start increasing in our life because we not even realizing that we stuck in this negative energy. And yet love finishes, the energy of love is so pure, so powerful, and it finishes all difficulties in our life. And when we understand this clearly, that when I'm filling myself with the pure love that I truly am, every day, let me make time in silence and let me deeply connect with the pure love that I am. Let me experience that love, because the nature of each one of us is love. And when we don't experience that love, then we're stuck in bitterness, in anger, in hatred. And these are all impacting on my mind, on my body. So firstly, to really experience that beautiful love that I am. And then it's easy to come to that stage of forgiveness. You know, I'm not sure if you've experienced when you've made a big mistake, when you've made a mistake, and when someone actually knows that when you mentioned about the mistake, and when someone looks at you with so much love, so much mercy, so much compassion, and says to you sincerely from their heart, it's okay, it's okay. How do you feel then? You feel so supported, you feel free. You come to that stage of being happy. And likewise, when we come to that stage of saying to myself from the heart, whatever's happened, let me first forgive myself, and then it gets easy when I start forgiving myself from the past, from past mistakes, from the anger that I'm holding on to. Then it's easy to forgive others as well. And when I forgive myself and others, I give myself the great gift of freedom. I become free. Then I'm able to come into that power where I'm able to help others from that experience, and I'm able to serve in that way. So true freedom comes from loving and accepting the self. True freedom comes where I am in that stage of love, but that stage of deep respect, because when we lose a loved one, we can come into that space of where I don't care anymore about myself. I don't give myself quality time anymore. I don't eat well. I don't take good care of myself. But when there's that love for the self, I come to that experience of respecting myself, and I'm bringing myself to another level where I start caring for myself. Caring, I have to take responsibility now of caring, of look aftering the self, of eating well, and then coming to that stage of where I have to start living my life. Reality hits when everyone's left, and then I'm left alone. And then I come to that stage. I now have to live my life. I have to take care of myself. Then responsibility, that responsibility sets in after all the journey of all the emotions that I've been through. So thank you once again, and I will hand you over to Raksha. But before handing you over to Raksha, just wanting to find out if anyone has any other questions on the aspect of love and forgiveness. Anyone wants to add any comments, or perhaps your personal experience?
Hi, can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
The previous sister spoke about her anger and how she worked through her anger. Can she maybe just give us a practical example that will help me?
Working through her anger.
Just an example.
Okay. I
Thank
will
you.
invite Kamla to answer that question.
Thank you.
Okay, Awada, maybe I'd like to understand your question better, because what aspect would you like to know?
You said you were angry at the workers. I think maybe you were angry that you missed your husband. How did you turn it into a positive?
Okay, what happened is I felt that the healthcare workers actually faltered in giving him the care he should have received. But I also realized for myself that within the circumstances, they had done the best they could. And I accepted that his body actually was failing, and and it couldn't actually support him further. So there was a kind of acceptance within myself for that. But subsequently, when the anger came up again, then I realized that it was not just that was just the trigger. Within the self, there is anger which may be suppressed. And then underneath the suppressed anger, when I started journaling and actually looking closely at myself and writing regularly, and then I came up because there's some hurt or pain which is within the self that was actually triggering the anger. Because the anger is a secondary emotion. The primary emotion is something else for myself. So I think how I came to terms with it was using my own spirituality and realizing that we are all spiritual beings and we are on our own individual journeys. And the anger was, yes, maybe the healthcare workers had faltered, whatever it may be, but there was something deeper rooted within the self which I personally need to heal. And then I did outline the process. I said, we look at it, understand it, but I also accept for myself there is deep-rooted anger, but underneath there is some hurt. So at the moment, I am using the process to journal and write daily and to look at whatever is causing the anger. And then I use meditation actually to release it. And then and to get in touch with my own higher energy, which is of peace, love, and happiness, and also connect to the divine energy of God, His peace, His love, and His help and assistance that is always there. And I find that His energy actually is shifting the deeper rooted aspects of the hurt. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes. I understand that. It's just sometimes you see people again and they trigger off the anger. And that's what I find very difficult.
Okay, I
What,
can
Helen?
answer that. Sorry, because it's, as I said, it is a journey. And sometimes it's not the same aspect of that anger that needs to be dealt with. It may be something even deeper than that because it comes in layers and people and circumstances are just triggers. And each time we need to go into the process of going deeper within the self and accepting what is there and healing the self. I find that the energy of the higher energy of the self and of the supreme makes it a definite shift, and especially loving the self completely and accepting God's lovely, loving energy to heal the self.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful example that, and an excellent question. So now we want you to go into this personally, the becoming aware, which Kamla spoke of, and Helen interviewed her. So we explored it more deeply. And Shirley spoke beautifully about the need for that love and forgiveness. But I want you now to let's personalize it with our own journey. So I'd like to share a screen, the next screen now. So we have this lovely example that we've heard of now just prior to this, and I see many appreciating. Thank you for that sharing. So now we want you to look at this becoming aware that Kamla referred to a lot in her personal sharing. Because in her journaling and in her reflection to understand that feeling, can now each one of us personally, I'm going to read some questions and I want you to think of it for yourself. So think about for yourself now, Helen and everyone, all of us on this group, why can't I feel at peace after losing my loved one? So just recognize for yourself, think of it for yourself. Why can't you feel at peace after losing your loved one? So remember that iceberg, that 90%. Can I identify the source of my uncomfortable feelings and write it down? So if you've got your pen and page, if you've got a note on your cell phone, just to think about, why can't I feel at peace after losing my loved one? Just pick up that pen and write. Kamla shared how a big part of her healing was acknowledging those feelings, acknowledging the layers that will come again and again. It's not over. There is work to be done. Can I identify the source of my uncomfortable feelings and write it down? Could it be regret, resentment, guilt, anger, feeling hurt, alone, left behind, burdened? So, whilst there may be this anger, what is the root? What is the primary emotion? Is it regret, resentment, guilt, anger, feeling hurt, alone, feeling left behind, feeling burdened? So I just give you half a minute to just take your pen and page and write or think about it. And I want you to have a chance. There's too many of us. There's about 70 of us on this group. So we've recognized in the last 2 sessions that people want to be able to be heard. And so we're going to break you up into groups of 3. And I want you in your breakout room, when we start the breakout room, to put your video on, connect with 2 other people in that room, and give each other at least 2 or 3 minutes to let them open their mouths and acknowledge what's there, what's their primary emotion. Because when we share it, it's such a relief. And sharing it to people who have journeyed through a similar situation, people who genuinely are listening, not taking over and having so much thoughts in their mind. So when you listen to the one that is sharing, just be silent, present, supporting them with your good feelings and good wishes, and allow them that 3 minutes or so to really share from their heart about the journey they've been on and the feelings that they are holding. And so because we want you all to be able to speak on the session, we're going to move you into a breakout room. So there might appear something on your screen to accept going into a breakout room. We're going to give you about 8 minutes. And after that 8 minutes, it will bring you back into this big forum. So don't run away and feel free. If you don't want to speak, we respect that as well. There'll be 3 in the room, so at least 2 of you will speak. So now I'll invite Aruna to take us into the breakout room. It'll be about 8 minutes, so give each other about 2 or 3 minutes to share. So each one gets to speak and voice their feelings and their experience of the feelings that they were that they're carrying, the the iceberg, the undercurrents, so that they can feel heard and understood. And they can even become aware of what's so deep-seated that is taking them in this story of hurt that never stops. So we can move into the breakout room now, and we'll be back into this main room in about 8 minutes' time. So thank you, Aruna. I hope it's clear. And thanks to all of you who've been sharing as well. So we'll move into the breakout room. So just click the join button and you'll go into a room, and at the end of 9 minutes, Aruna will bring you all back into this room. Thank you. Just click the join button and don't disappear. Be back in 9 minutes. It's in 8 minutes. Thank you, because we want to learn from each other and we want to process. So just click that join button and it will take you into a breakout room. And we'll all be back into this room in about 8 minutes' time. I see there's still about 20 plus of us still on the main room. Take the courage to join the group and come back in about 7 minutes now. Thank you. So thank you all. Thank you, everyone, for being patient and for joining and taking that time to honestly share from your heart and feel the support of two others in your room. So thank you dearly for having the courage to share and be honest. I'd like to then move you to the next slide. So in our discussion, we looked at what were some of those deep-rooted feelings, and really congratulations on being so honest about that, because it's in that sharing that I can become aware and to know we've got this amazing supportive community that is with us and is supporting us through this journey. So I hope in that last session you were able to recognize some of the deep-seated feelings, so that one can begin to acknowledge them and acknowledge the hurt, acknowledge the pain, and then begin to move forward on our journey. Because as long as I don't acknowledge, I can't move forward to choose to move from that resentment or that pain or hurt into something better. So we're going to do a few exercises. So I'll invite Kamla to take you through this exercise. Kamla?
Thank you, Raksha.
Just the previous slide, thank you. Aruna.
Okay, thank you, Raksha, once again. As Raksha mentioned, that we have looked at our old feelings and negative ways of thinking, whatever it may be, we can ask the question, are these old feelings bringing benefit to me or impacting me in a negative way? So are these old feelings bringing benefit to me or impacting me in a negative way? How have these feelings affected me? How have these feelings affected me? And now think about, how would releasing and letting go of these feelings make me feel? How would releasing and letting go of these feelings make me feel? And you can type this into the chat box.
So Maria said number 1, I think. So I'm not sure, but
Maybe
but
she'll
really,
be great.
yeah. So just reflect on this. Those feelings. I know some in our group. We're very emotional and teary in our breakout rooms. So imagine being free of those feelings. How would it make you feel? And just type it into the chat, and I'll read it. It would be lovely to see how one would feel if one were free. I remember one of your aims. I remember Jeremy saying how wonderful it will be to just be free, and Shobha said to enjoy life. So Anne says it makes one feel free to go forward in peace. Segri, peace. Anyone else? So Malandela, these feelings have become part of me. I would feel empty without them. Thank you, Malandela. Very, very honest. So sometimes we can become attached to those feelings, and it's the only way we know how to live. And we feel we giving regard to the person we lost by staying in the sorrow. But I also need to look at that big picture and the ones that surround me, and how can I support them and live, you know. But so honest, Malandela. So thank you. And Paco says free, Maria, feelings of freedom and joy, relating positively with all I come into contact with. Yes, just visualize like Maria has. How would you feel? I felt free when I started celebrating the life of my parents. The soul never dies. Wonderful. In caps, Sherry. And then Margaret, these feelings do not benefit me. Whenever I think of my late sister, resentment and anger rises up to my neck. I actually have physical pain. If I release these feelings, I could think of her with love, the love we had for each other a long time ago. Thank you, Margaret. Carol, I would be able to sleep deeply and peacefully. Beautiful. And I have learned to acknowledge the feelings and not get stuck in them. Full stop in caps. Go forward in freedom and happiness until the next time the thought pops in, and then full stop! Exclamation. See, old feelings make us feel how much time we have wasted instead of moving forward. Jeremy, it impacts me negatively. So thank you, all of you. That's amazing. We can just feel the energy, you know. And Dilip says, it's become part of my character. Remove the blockage and be free as being as true as myself. So thank you for sharing. We'll move to the next slide. But we can see how, if I really acknowledge those feelings and choose to let go, how one can feel. So Kamla?
Okay, thank you, Raksha. And in the previous slides, there was in the chat group, there were such beautiful sharings, lots of coming to peace with the self, becoming free, and claiming the positivity within the self, but also to see where we have become attached to these feelings, and also to go deeper and see how would it really feel to let go of that attachment to those feelings and connect to our true selves. But for now, let us reflect on the need for you to forgive individuals or circumstances surrounding the loss of your loved one. So reflect on the need for you to forgive individuals or circumstances surrounding the loss of your loved one. So it could possibly be yourself for not having done something. For myself, I found that I had regret that I should have actually asked for a second opinion on the health of my husband. So there was a lot of forgiving to do for myself on that aspect. And then one needs to maybe it's related to those involved in the care of your loved one, or anyone or anything unsettling that occurred at the time surrounding your loss. It could have not just been the death of the loved one, it could have been some unsettling events that took place around the funeral, and some comments that were made that were hurtful. All of that one needs to actually acknowledge, and will have to forgive that. So look at that aspect of those involved in the care of your loved one, or anyone or anything unsettling that occurred in the time surrounding your loss. Also, we might have to forgive our lost loved ones themselves. So looking at forgiving something that I could have done and I didn't do, or something that I did and which I regret. So regrets need a lot of forgiveness and love for the self, and also those involved in the care or anyone else, and anything unsettling that occurred at the time. So take a while and reflect on this. So maybe we can have the next slide now. Thank you for sharing in the chat box as well. And there is lots of forgiveness to do there in all of us. So one of the techniques that I have used is writing a letter to the one you have lost, expressing your feelings. And as I mentioned earlier, writing and journaling is actually very healing for the self. So now I encourage you to take this time and write a letter to the one you have lost, expressing your feelings. Express everything that's in your heart, how you feel. Just express it. Take the courage and just write it down.
Sorry, just looking at the time, how much time you giving us for this?
2 minutes, because it's past almost.
Okay. Maybe what we could do, if they haven't completed after 2 minutes, then they can continue it on their own later on.
Is there music, I think?
No, I can't hear the music. I think because we're running short of time, Raksha will now lead us into a meditation to let go of some of our feelings of negativity.
Okay, so we'll move to the next slide. So thank you. So hold that thought that you had begun to reflect on and just sit comfortably in your seats. And as I'm seated now, I just become absolutely comfortable. And I let any extra thoughts just drift away like it's dropping down my body, down my feet into the earth beneath me. And I feel a wave of calm just flow over me. As I'm seated here, very safe and peaceful, my thoughts go to the one that I have lost, the one that I have loved. And as that being appears before me, honestly, from my heart, there had been so many emotions in the scenes and circumstances of the time when I had lost this one. And as if I'm standing before that one, I have an honest conversation, sharing through my eyes, sharing through my mind, the love and yet the pain, the hurt of that time. And I feel deep feelings of release, just being able to share from my heart with this one that I love, honestly, as if they are just before me. My feelings flow. I watch that scene as if I'm watching a movie. And I share my feelings about that time and that scene. And I'm choosing now to forgive myself. I had done the best with my highest intentions. I have loved with all my heart. And I understand that what has happened has happened. But now I live in this moment and I choose to heal, to let go of those feelings and to be free. I forgive myself. I forgive all those who said or did anything at that time that may have hurt me. They have played their part in the drama of life as they should. And I now need to play my part as I will, with choice, with love, with forgiveness. I love you. I thank you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. I thank you. And as I say these words, I am free. I choose in this moment to be love. And with love and understanding, to allow this energy to flow to me and through me as I embrace the one I love. I forgive everyone, and I forgive and embrace myself. With mercy and compassion, I take steps forward like this free bird in the image before me. I take flight into the light of my purpose in life with love. Thank you.
Thank you, Raksha, for that powerful meditation. So the next, I invite you to choose a slogan, an anchor to keep you safe from being affected by the old feelings of hurt, so that I stay free always. So taking a few moments, creating a slogan for yourself, an anchor to keep you safe from being affected by old feelings of hurt. And an example that I share from today: I choose love, peace, and happiness. And maybe if you feel inspired, if you like to write that on the chat box. So giving you a few moments to choose your slogan, to anchor yourself, to choose love, peace, and happiness.
So we encourage you to write your slogan, because we want to move forward with an anchor. If we're going to go into old feelings, we need something to pull us back. And I'll read what is coming up. And I choose to forgive those who behaved wrongly, as they too must have had their reasons. Roshan, from today, I choose to live in love, peace, and happiness, and move forward with positiveness. Elishna, thank you so much. I've benefited immensely. And from today, I choose joy, peace, and happiness. Thank you, Ramba. I choose to be powerful and abundantly loveful. Wonderful. Allison, I cannot change the past, but I can change my future. Maria, I detach from negative external influences in the drama of life. Bhavna, I choose love and pure intention, no matter what. Thank you, Bhavna. Cynthia, lots of emotions have been released. I am free at last. Dr. Rashmi, I shall never be defeated by the difficulties in my life. I accept what God has chosen for me and decide to be at peace. Thank you. Shiv Kumar, I choose to leave a mark on everyone by happiness, love, with purity and peace. Om Shanti. Thank you, Shiv Kumar. I live in gratitude for being alive with love and light. Sherry. Love conquers all and everything. So wonderful. Keep writing it and sharing it with everyone. But I note with time, we'll ask Sister Shirley to move on. And C, let me move on. So determined to move on, C. Thank you. Wonderful.
So thank you all for that powerful slogans, and I trust that you will stay grounded with these slogans and keep moving on every day. So today, as Kamla mentioned about the higher energy of the self, but the higher energy of the divine. And the divine is all forgiving and merciful. Can I begin to see and think like God does? No grudges, no judgment, just merciful and compassion. I allow God's energy to fill my heart. And firstly, I just wanted to share that a few thoughts. God is all merciful, all compassion, and we can learn from him, and we can fill ourselves with his energy. But firstly, as I connect with my highest energy, the highest self, the conscious being, the spiritual being, I am then able to connect with the divine energy. And without the connection, we know that sometimes our prayer, our meditation and things we can do every day. But if there isn't that link, that connection, I'm not able to then draw power and strength into myself. I'm not able to fill myself with that mercy and compassion. And important every time I sit, to become still to connect with myself and to connect with that divine energy. It's like two powerful magnets coming together, and then I'm able to be filled with divine power, divine light, and divine love. In this way, I'm able to then come to that stage of compassion for the self, of forgiving the self, and then moving on. Freeing myself, which is such an important aspect, but without making the connection in that silence and allowing myself to be filled with divine love and divine power. It's really not possible to bring myself to that stage to begin the healing process. And every day, making time and making that connection is the process of healing, empowering, and nurturing the self. Then I can, as I'm being filled with that energy of love and power, I can come to that stage of freeing myself from anger. Someone asked the question earlier, how can I free myself from anger? And this is the process, because the purest, most powerful energy of the divine that has not been touched by negativity, by waste. This is the purest and most powerful energy in this universe. And what can this energy not do for us? This energy is always present, available 24/7, and is always present with the gifts of love, of peace, of power, of mercy, and of healing. So every day, time is calling us. Our situations and circumstances are calling us every day. Connect, fill the self, so that the journey of our lives become easier. The healing process becomes easier. And so that I can live my life in peace, love, and happiness, and also share that with others as well. It can only be possible with the magic love of the divine. So I take you into a beautiful experience of relaxation, of connecting and experiencing the love of the divine, the compassion and mercy. So once again, sit comfortably, just for a few moments, leaving aside all the concerns, the worries, the uncertainties. And with my thoughts, I hold the awareness of my higher self. I and peace. I am love. And I am joy. This is my true nature. Stepping into myself. I think we will leave the music out. So stepping into myself and gently bringing the awareness of divine energy into this atmosphere, into this space, into this powerful gathering. And in the stillness, in the silent space, connecting with the purest energy of the divine, the most powerful energy that never ever changes. So constant with his love, his light, his power. In the silence and awareness, it's like two magnets coming together. I feel the power. I feel the energy of the divine. I can only be filled with his power and strength when I'm still in my mind, in my body. Like the supreme surgeon operating on I, the being, removing the layers of hurt, the layers of anger, the layers of pain and the past, and filling me with pure healing light. Pulling me to a higher level of my beautiful self, my powerful self. And releasing myself from the chains of hurt, anger, and regrets. Let me stay from today fully present with my peace, my love, my happiness, and let me share this gift with others. And gently, I come back to the surroundings, keeping these feelings and experience as long as I can. Om Shanti. Thank you and many blessings. And the next series, next session next week will be the healing power of gratitude from 3 to 4:30. And please do join and invite your friends. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And I hand you over to Raksha.
No, thank you. And I know we've gone way over time, but it's such a deep process. And I guess to explore it in 1.5 hours is not enough. But thank you for your patience and for staying on with us. And we really appreciate it. And we hope that, you've really journeyed to explore those hidden layers and keep releasing them. Like Kamla said, it's not a once-off process. There will be more and more layers revealed to you until you break free and can fly like that beautiful dove with the support of that supreme light, and to continue on your journey of bringing light and love to the world. So thank you for making the time, and thank you for having the courage, and thank you for doing the work to explore the depths of this forgiveness that needs to take place so that I can choose to live life with that love and power. And so we look forward to meeting you once again next week on the healing power of gratitude. So thank you. And Kamla, do you want to say
I just
anything?
want to thank you all for being present and your honest sharing. And I wish you all the best on your journey forward. Thank you.
See you next week.